Today, 25th August, this is still the Chinese Cyber Moon. So I've been asked to talk a bit about significance of this particular month, or to be more particular about the Chinese attitude towards ancestors and ancestor worship. So we have two related suttas here, two related texts. They're repeated for you. And the first one is from the Sutta Discovery 2.7, SD 2.7. That is a Tirokuta Sutta. This is the key teaching, if you like, together with the Saddha Janusoni Sutta, which is also in the same volume. These are the two suttas which give us a very good idea on how, as early Buddhists or followers of the Buddha's teaching, we should practice in connection with the departed. Then the second sutta is a Chinese sutta called the Buddha speaks the Ulumpana Sutra. So this is the Mahayana teaching. It's not found in any of the early texts, but it's very interesting to see how Buddhism becomes culturally adapted or acculturated in China. So it's going to be quite an interesting study. Now, of course, the first question we should ask in this kind of study is, so what happens when a person dies? The answer is very simple. Once life as we know it ceases, because the physical body is unable to sustain the consciousness moves on. Now the question now is, what form does the consciousness assume? This is the big question. The simple answer is, you and I do not know, unless we go into some deep meditation, and then perhaps we have a better idea what's going on, what happens after the person dies. Then we have the real problem here is not what happens after the person dies. The real problem is what we believe. A lot of people tell us all kinds of ideas, and some of these ideas are very troubling. For example, especially we believe that the dead are kind of reborn in a certain place. And interestingly, I would say, where the Chinese are concerned, they believe that once a person is dead, they are stuck in this new life somewhere. I don't think they have the idea of continual rebirth as found in early Buddhism. Although traditional Chinese Buddhists, probably who are educated in Buddhism, will tell you, yes, they believe in many rebirths. But the general idea we often have, the way the traditional prayers are conducted, is that once our relatives die, they are stuck in the next life. And strangely, it's usually hell. It appears as if all Chinese, when they die, are reborn in hell. And that's the impression we get with the prayers. And this is something that has troubled me very often. Or perhaps we can look at it in a more open way, more generous way, that they want to be sure that if their deceased have been reborn in the hell states, that they would be comforted somehow. And then you have another problem. Is it the hell state or is it Preta state? So it seems as if these two states are conflicted, combined, or confused. Of course, the right informed Buddhists will tell you, well, that's not the case. But you have a problem here within the general practice and the elite, people who know the true teachings. So in other words, a lot of education is necessary. So today we try to sort out some things as far as time permits us. From the early Buddhist texts, the idea is very simple. Once someone dies, the person is reborn in one of the hopefully higher states. If you keep the 5 precepts well and you regularly, habitually live a life that is good in terms of the precepts, you try your best to keep the precepts. And try your best is very important here, because since we're not perfect, we sometimes break the precepts, and so we look back, we find out what's going on. So there is a bit of space, if you like, given to us as moral beings. According to the Lonapala Sutta, it is, if we are regularly a good person, so although if we habitually have lapses in the precept, it is unlikely that we'll be reborn in a suffering state purely because of that particular act. So in other words, we've got to make sure goodness predominates in our life. We have to try our best. Right? We cannot say it's okay to do bad. That's not what I mean. What I mean is you've got to make every effort to do good, to be good. But we are always challenged when we do that. And then occasionally we might not be strong enough and certain bad things happen. Now if that's the case, you've tried your best, then of course the bad karma is not likely to come back to bring you a lot of suffering, so to speak. So if you are that kind of person, then you will be reborn in the heavenly worlds, for example, enjoying a very wonderful, great happiness, especially if you are meditators. Or if you keep the precepts well, you'll be reborn as human beings. And if you love the Dharma, you'll be reborn in a place where you get the Dharma. So on the other hand, if people who live simply having the wrong idea that to be happy is to have things, then you'll be reborn in the lower planes, in the animal world, or the Asura world, or the Preta world, or if you're very naturally, if you're by nature violent, in the suffering states. So that's the traditional teaching. Okay. However, when we talk about prayers for the dead, we also talk about merits. Okay, this is not a very good English translation, but traditional Buddhists are used to the idea when you say merits, they don't think about how good you are professionally in Singapore to get a good job. We will think of merits as kusala. Okay? Kusala, in other words, good karma. So, now good karma cannot be transferred. A lot of people have the wrong idea, even some who are not teachers, no? They sometimes forget to tell you, oh, karma, a good karma or merits can be transferred. Nowhere, I'm not saying they're wrong, I'm just saying that you can't find this statement being supported in any suttas. Not so suttas, maybe later teachings, I don't know. However, we can make other people happy. Just like you listen to this Dharma, you feel peaceful, you read suttas, you feel good. Right? Today, you know, every Saturday, Sunday I get these people sending back the sutta, proofreading they've done, and they're telling how happy they are reading the sutta. And then this morning I opened one email, this person said, I love reading your essay on free will, it helped me understand so many things. So they feel happy, you see. The question is not, I'm not the one who made them happy. Yes, I put some conditions together, but it's the Dharma that made them happy. So, if you understand this idea, then we can, in the same way, or in a similar way, make our ancestors happier in that way. So we don't transfer any merits to them. It's impossible. I can't say I give you so many units of good. Here, take it. You know? I mean, it doesn't work like that. Okay? And that's wrong view. And we should not perpetuate this wrong view. It won't be to our well-being. So here, next question is, who are those beings who can benefit from this kind of goodness, if you like? Now I have two, you know, we do have other realms around us. For example, I have two cats at home, right? And that's the animal world, right? So occasionally I try to teach Dharma to the two cats. They're not very attentive, unfortunately. So they can't really understand what I'm saying. But sometimes they do appreciate it. They come to me and just rub against me or knock their wet nose on my arm maybe. But all those are actually conditioning to get more food actually. So the question now is, I can't really teach them. I can't even chant for them. Of course, occasionally when we do meditate, and it's very interesting, when you do meditation, special loving kindness, they will come and sit with you. So they can sense a sense of peace inside you. So there you have a very important clue when we do Buddhist prayers. You must have loving kindness. If you ask me what's the definition of Buddhist prayer, I would say loving kindness is the key word. No loving kindness, neither Buddhist nor prayer. That's why sometimes rituals are not very good, especially when families employ professional chanters and mourners, and they are, hoping that all this will get over quickly, and you might as well not do it, or better still, if you tell this chanter, whatever, say, here, we're giving you $1,000, please don't come, don't do anything. Take it as you've done your prayer, the world is happy. Is it better that way? So sometimes we do strange things without realizing what really are the psychological, emotional impact on us. We do it purely to show other people we are filial within inverted commas. Actually, we are just being politically correct, which is not beneficial for anyone, in fact, not even for the deceased. So, if you have loving kindness, you do this prayer or chant or final rites for the deceased, especially your loved one. That's the best thing you can do. I mean, let's say, imagine if I were to die, and I get strange people washing my body and doing prayers for me, prayers which I don't understand and don't like anyway. I'm not sure how good it will be for me anyway. And moreover, I'm not sure if I'm there today. If I'm reborn somewhere else, if I'm reborn somewhere else, I don't need any distress anyway. But however, let's say if I'm still, my conscience is still floating around for a while, and if I see my family doing all this for me lovingly, not afraid of a dead body, but knowing, oh, this is our dear beloved relative, father, sister, brother, and so on, mother, father, uncle, whatever, grandparents, then you have this, your conscience feels good and happy, because this consciousness is disembodied, it's not able to talk or communicate, but you feel happy. So this consciousness, like the body, it's like in a dream state. We have no real control over things. We cannot really communicate, those are just stories. But we can sense, like in a dream. Now you can understand the nature of dreams, you have a good idea this in the death state, how it's like. Imagine people who never studied Buddhism, never religious, and then they found themselves in this kind of disembodied state. They wouldn't even know what it is, they'd be terrified, isn't it? So when we know all these things, then our minds are by nature calm. If you regularly practice, you notice you are by nature calm. Your dreams are often good dreams, and you tend to be more at peace with yourself. So you can see that kind of cultivation giving its very positive effect in this life itself. So, according to early Buddhism, there's only one group of beings we can dedicate marriage. That's the word I like to use, dedicate. Because, for example, we do this study here, and at the end of it, we dedicate the merits of the studies, whatever calmness, happiness, wisdom we have attained here, we dedicate this moment to so-and-so, the devas here, the workers here, people we have in mind, right? So this is loving kindness. Loving kindness is the, what shall I say, the energy, the method, the machine even if you like, that propels and pushes ahead all this goodness to others. And loving kindness itself is the energy that helps the deceased, the departed, to go on with their journey, having better, higher rebirth, so to speak. Yeah? So these beings that can receive this dedication or prayers, if you like, are the pretas, or in Pali it's called peta, P-E-T-A. Now, what's interesting about this word, peta? It simply means departed. So in the Buddha's time, the early Buddhism, that's all it means, departed. Someone has passed away, and before the Buddha's time, you have to make sure this person, attains a high spiritual state. So the Buddha says, well, yeah, you can, dedicate marriage to this person, to this being, so that this being can be reborn in a happy state. And then later, this idea, in a sense, degenerated into a being that is, in China, they call hungry ghosts. To put it very simply. In other words, they are characterized by a very urgent need, needs that somehow can never be satisfied in that state. And so you can just suffer for a long, long time that way. So here is where, for example, there's a story told about King Bimbisara. He offered the Buddha a meal, and he donated what is called bamboo grove to the Buddha. But in the night, he had these visions of very horrible shapes and sounds, and he was troubled by this. Then the next morning he told the Buddha, and the story goes that the Buddha explained to him that many years ago, in the time of the past Buddha, there were his relatives who had stolen some food which meant to be offered to the monks. And on account of that, they were reborn as pretas because of their greedy nature, because of their... you see, taking food given to the Sangha, there's nothing wrong with that, especially leftovers and extra food. You know, people bring a lot of good food. There's always lots of extra food, and then the people in Thailand and Buddhist countries enjoy taking the stuff as a food. But here is they took the food before it was offered to the Sangha, so in other words, the monks have nothing to eat. And it was done with malicious intent. So they were reborn as pretas, and it took them a long time to fall from that state. So you can imagine many kalpas, you know, it's not just one kalpa, it's many kalpas to a few Buddha's time. Only in our Buddha's time, they have a chance to fall from that state, or rather rise from that preta state. So Vimasara, of course, was wondering how he could do it. That the Buddha says, well, you must recall them to mind. This is very important. First thing, we have to recall our ancestors to mind, at least the nearest one. Let's say a parent who has passed away, a grandparent, okay? Or even a relative or a friend, not necessarily a blood relative, okay? So we know this person at least by name, if not by looks, and you can visualize, right? And we dedicate. On the other hand, there are many relatives we have. For example, I know many of my relatives who have passed away generations ago by name, but yeah, we have some drawings of them, there were no photographs there. And that's about all an idea we have of them. But of course, we can have a sense of connection with them. And we say, my relatives, my ancestors, something like that. And again, you have to remember that these beings who are reborn, how are they to recognize you? How do you recognize us? As your great-great-grandchildren, for example, we won't know, see? We don't have that kind of ability. So this is all a kind of feeling. We're talking about feeling here. It's like you go into a new part of Singapore, or you go to a different country, and you find the people that are very friendly to you, and you feel good. But you go to a place that are not friendly, you just find there's no connection there, you want to go away, right? So you have to imagine this kind of state. Very often we have some kind of uncertain idea of these things, and the rest are filled in by superstition and wrong ideas by other people whose intention are definitely not spiritual. So this is where it's good to examine all this very carefully, and the suttas are very clear. So here is where the Buddha gives very clear teachings of the Tirokuta Sutta, telling us how we should behave towards such beings, the departed. So this is a special sutta dedicated to the departed, who are given special offerings in this Chinese 7 lunar month. So let's look at the Tirokuta Sutta in your sheet here, which is found in SD 3.7. Tirokuta Sutta, Tiro means across or outside, Kuta means wall, Sutta is discourse, right? So the court is called outside the wall, across the wall. Because apparently these beings, they normally would, that's where they were learned, so to speak. Maybe they feel a sense of like safety near some object. And they are normally beings that are attached to the old place of habitation. Now let's look at the sutta. The sutta will tell us about these things, or comment as we go along. The sutta also has got a Pali version of it, because part of it is popularly chanted during offerings to the dead. Look at the reference. This sutta is found in 2 places. Kudatapata, sutta number 7, and Petawatu 1.5, that means chapter 1, sutta number 5. Now, these 2 collections are late collections. So in other words, it's not found in the four Nikayas, it's found outside the four Nikayas. Buddhagapata is a small little book, very thin book, just a few suttas. It's meant for the novice to memorize the chant, but they're very popular chants which may help to get donations, for example, from devotees. And you get the purely, what should I say, ritualistic Buddhism. So you have some idea when these texts were compiled. And then you have Petawatu, again stories, special collection of stories of the departed, quite fearsome stories. Again here, it's probably compiled maybe soon, very soon after Buddha passed away. And then these stories are in a sense like a warning to devotees who don't go to temples, for example, or keep breaking the precepts, who are habitually nasty. You know? So that these pretas, they do not have a special realm like the other beings, and they don't have a single look. They look the way their bad karma reflects. So, for example, there is this, once it is said, Moggallana saw this hideous-looking being flying across the sky, and the mouth all infested with maggots. It's a gruesome sight, isn't it? But remember, it's an apparition. And then Moggallana says, this woman previously liked to tell lies, right? So you see that kind of connection. So, in other words, it might be difficult to tell our intelligent young children nowadays, they won't believe such stories, right? But you can tell them the meaning of it. If someone habitually likes to lie, I mean, it has to do with speech, you see. So, in the ancient times, this is a colorful depiction of how a bad karma would look like. You know, how an artist represent bad karma. So the idea is we do not want to be like that. Okay, let's look at the sutta. Page 53. Outside the walls they lurk or stand, if you like. At junctions and crossroads, they stand at the doorposts, having returned to their own homes. So here you have an idea, almost like a psychological evaluation. They lurk outside the walls, at junctions, crossroads. Junctions and crossroads are very significant because that's where you decide where to turn. If you make a wrong turn, you will not go to your destination, right? So these are all symbolic places. They stand at doorposts, at the side of the door. Why? Because people move through the space of the door. They return to their own houses, own homes. Sakandara. Yeah? Of course, if you look more elaborately, they don't just return to their own homes. They would lurk at places where they love, where they like very much, right? I don't know, most of us don't spend much time at home nowadays. We spend most time at our workplace. Yeah? I think if you have to die while you're working, you'll probably go back to your workplace, you know. So, the kind of places that we habitually haunt, if you like, all right? So, you have an idea now how the deceased get caught in the places that they like. Of course, there is popular belief that these beings tend to be anchored to the places where they were killed when they last died. You know? So we have no way of knowing how right or wrong this is. Mostly it's a human emotion that we like. That's our last place we can connect with the deceased. So in a sense, that helps. Again, remember, if you have loving kindness and you understand the situation and you do it in a meaningful way, then it's beautiful. You must have a sense of satisfaction, sense of fulfillment. Let's say a relative dies at sea. We don't know where, which particular spot. It's meaningful if you maybe drop some flowers into the sea and then say, maybe be well and happy wherever you are. So who are we doing this for mostly? We're doing it for ourselves because to us it's meaningful. Maybe this being, this relative has passed away in the sea, so we born happily in one of the heavens, right? Of course, if it's a day I look at us and smile and say, very good, you know, and then Zad, we get some blessings, I suppose. And the important thing is not any kind of personal benefit from outside, but rather inside yourself, you feel a sense of, you feel you can show your love to this person, and you wish this person well, and you can go on with your daily functions. And this is very important for us. On the opposite scale, you have people who deny the death of such loved ones, and they go on living a different life. It will be very difficult for them. So, and they will need counseling in due course, because it is called a psychological defense mechanism of denial. So, in a sense, mourning is good if you do it properly, but at the same time, you have to understand what goes on. Because later on in the sutta, the Buddha will tell you what kind of mourning is not helpful. Verse 2, food and drinks are plenty, food hard and soft are served, but no one recalls them. These beings conditioned by karma. The key line is line C. Line C is the third line. No one recalls them. We do not remember them. Right? That is why when we are gathered together to do prayers for the dead, we normally mention the name of the deceased. Right? And even in the proper Chinese ritual, you find they will announce the name very loudly, and that makes everybody happy, so to speak. So you got to recall them, not just recall their names. You must also recall the good things they have done. You will see that a little further down. Last line says these beings conditioned by karma, right? So they fare according to karma. So in a sense, no prayers can help them. In that sense, but so the kind of prayer we do with meditation are exceptional. You have to do it really properly, then it will help. Thus, they give to their relatives, they who are compassionate, pure, exquisite, timely, fitting drink and food, saying, let this be for our relatives. May our relatives be happy. Now, this sutta is a poem actually, but there are different voices speaking. You have to more or less know which voice is speaking. From the way the sentence is structured, we will know. So here, verse 3, they refer, of course, to living relatives who are compassionate, they make offerings, they give good food, and so on. And then they say, verse 4, idang wo or idang me nyatinam hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Look at these words, sukita hontu. Sukita hotu. Sukita hotu is singular, sukita hontu is plural. In English, both translate as may you be well, may you be happy. But here, you in English can be singular or plural. Okay? So, the lines in bold, number 4, it is a kind of metta bhavana, isn't it? It's a kind of cultivation of loving kindness. May you be happy. May our relatives be happy. So the first line is a line of dedication. Let this be for our relatives. Let this, in other words, whatever you're offering, so we are doing this for our relatives. But we're offering this to the monks. Right? The monks are eating this. So if the monks eat the food, obviously no one else is taking the food, right? So we're dedicating the merits to the deceased. So this idea is very important to understand. Because these pretas, they can't consume the kind of food we give them, the kind of food we take. They are of a different rank. They are a disembodied rank. Notice even the kinds of food that we eat, animals can't take it. Even our cats can't take the kind of food we take. There are certain kinds of food they can digest. No? So imagine these beings of another realm. Okay, verse 4, line C. And they, having gathered there, the departed relatives gathered too. That is very interesting. Notice. So when they gather together in memory of someone we love, and if that person is in the Preta world, that being will come somehow to that place, to something like. So this is a way, like I say, we are sending a text message. This coming, this being comes, something like that. But the devas, they don't need it. If the devas are probably smiling at us, because their happiness is greater than ours, and we are praying for them, they can smile in a happy way. If they're cats, you need to treat them well, right? If they're asuras, there's little you can do for them. You've got to set them a lot of metta. If they're hell beings, very difficult. And so this is where Pretas you can help in this sense. Verse 5. In the abundant food and drink, they wholeheartedly rejoice. Long may our relatives live, on whose account we gain these. For honor to us has been done, and givers are not fruitless. This is another very important verse, a very important teaching. They wholeheartedly rejoice. So in other words, the Pretas are capable of rejoicing without help, but by themselves they cannot. Imagine someone who has gone through a lot of suffering, and because this person has habitually suffered, this person is incapable of being happy on his own account. He just goes around trying to blame people or hurt others by way of some kind of revenge. He's never happy. And someone comes along and this person is a very different kind of person who's happy and kind to this person, accepts this person unconditionally, and then slowly instructs this person. And then this person realizes he doesn't have to be sad all his life. Or you have someone who is who's emotionally troubled, typically sad and suicidal and so on, he goes for counseling. So counseling is a kind of prayer, if you like. So the counselor heals by listening, open listening, in a kind of unconditional listening, and then help this person by talking later. And in due course, this counselee is healed, sees different aspects of his or her personality, and is able to be happy again. So a good counselor also teaches methods of how these counseling memories, metaphors, pictures, visualization, which this counselor can use to be happy. So we are, in a sense, reaching out to another realm in a counseling session also. Someone who's really depressed and sad and unhappy is like a preta, and we try to uplift this person out of that state from the counselor's chair, so to speak. So here, notice they wholeheartedly rejoice. So these pretas are capable of rejoicing. How? Because we remember the good that we do. We say we dedicate these good deeds to this person. Like you're communicating with them directly, as it were, spiritually, directly in the spiritual sense. So then they rejoice. It's just like, let's say again, I got to use myself as an example. Let's say if I'm dead, dead meaning disembodied, my consciousness is moving around, still not reborn yet, and I say, wow, my relatives, my friends, you remembering me and doing all this wonderful gathering, studying suttas in my name, will be so happy. I say, oh, okay, I feel so happy, and then I disappear, okay, reborn somewhere else in a happy state, right? So they wholeheartedly rejoice. And the wonderful thing here, they actually even bless you. They say, may you be happy too, because you have honored us. And then they quote a very famous saying, givers are not fruitless. No giving is fruitless. Any kind of giving, right? As long as you are open with it, there is some fruit for you. Now comes a very important teaching here, often forgotten in a massive way. There's no farming there, no cattle herding farm. Businesses too, there are none. Nor buying and selling with money. With what is given here are supported the departure over there. Right? This spiritual world, no farming, no banks, no computers, right? So no point giving them all those stuff. Right? So this is where we come to a Chinese idea where we'd like to offer things of this world to the deceased. It's also an ancient Egyptian idea. This is you might say the pre-Axial Age idea, if you like. The idea of priestcraft, where the dead are treated as if they are in another world and they need the things they're used to in this life. But they are pretas, there are no banks there, so no matter how much money you give, you can add all the zeros you want. It won't serve them any purpose. And now they're even giving computers, the latest version, handphones and so on, to the deceased. So I don't know how useful these things are. I mean, if you have a handphone, why is it that you can't call them, for example? You know, one of the worrying things is, what will our intelligent young people think about these things? If you go on perpetuating this kind of ideas and rituals, you attract superstitious people and you perpetuate superstition. Because these things are impossible to explain in normal daily life. So, and it's against the sutta, so clearly against this verse 7 in the Tirupura Sutta, for example. Anyway, as Buddhists, we don't burn those things. So, they are sustained by what we give, so to speak. In other words, the marriage that we dedicate to them helps them. Verse 8, verse 8 and 9 and 10 talks about how we should understand a marriage. Just as water falling on highlands reaches down to the lowlands, even so what is given here accrues to the departed ones. So marriage flow from high to low, so to speak, in a sense like you dedicate to them. That sense of joy invokes joy in the other person. It's just like it's your birthday and nobody seems to care, everything is dark and dreary, you have to do hard work over time, feel so sad, how come nobody remembers me and the world is so terrible? And you go home, open the door, suddenly there's this bright light in front of you, and there's a group of people, your friends, relatives are there wishing you happy birthday. At that moment you feel very happy, won't you? Right? So it's just like the way the Puritanas, given this dedication of marriage, they feel happy like that. So marriage flows like that, in a sense. Right? Just as the swollen rivers feel the ocean full, even so what is given here accrues to the departed. Right? So here it's not something that you receive, but something that you dedicate. And then you reflect. Here again is another verse like reflection on dedication of loving kindness, verse 10. He gave to me, he worked for me, a relative, friend, and companion to me. Give offering then for the departed, recalling what they have done. So, in modern societies, we give this, what's the word you use for some kind of speech you dedicate to the dead? You call eulogies. Yeah, eulogy. Right? So this is the one. So I remember names like this, like that. I wrote one for my brother. The way I remember him. Okay? And it brings back many happy memories. So we give for the departed. Notice I've used the word for, not to. Okay? Recalling what they have done before. Recalling what they have done. Only good things. Only good things. Don't worry about the bad things. The bad things, they'll be suffering for it. We want to recall the good things they're doing so that they will be uplifted from their suffering. Now 11 onwards is to tell us what sort of things we should not do, which are not helpful. Neither tears, nor sorrow, nor any mourning whatever, they help not the departed. The departed relatives remain the same. Tears do not help the departed. Tears are meant for us ourselves. Okay? So we don't need to employ any professional mourners here. We won't help. I'll be simply horrified if someone did that when I passed away. I'll probably come back and haunt these people. It is something you should never do. It's a terrible insult to our own culture and common sense. It just shows we not only do not love the deceased, we try to cheat the public that we love them. So the Sutta says, you won't help. Right? Not even any mourning. But why do we mourn? We mourn for ourselves, so that there is closure. Now if that helps, fine. If you find it necessary to do that, that's fine too. One thing is, how do you feel? Do you have closure? Right? In Thailand, for example, they do all this remembering of the dead in a very cultured way. They print beautiful books, books which have to buy, which are very expensive, rare classics. They print for free. And during the 100-day cremation ceremony, you can be anybody. They won't check your passport or ID. You just go there, you get a little paper flower, you put it on the coffin, and they'll give you a free book. Of course, in that book, they have photos of the deceased and maybe a family history, plus that wonderful, rare book published free of charge. And the family is richer with a very thick book. And so it's a wonderful way of remembering the deceased. Verse 12. But when an offering is made, well placed to the Sangha given, will be for their good for a long time. It serves them now as well. This duty to relatives has been shown on how to best honor the departed. Strength too has been given to the monks. Not small is the merit accrued to you. Right, so here, in other words, through doing something useful, like offering dana to some virtuous monks, and then you dedicate the merit to the pretas. So here, why is doubly blessed? Why? Because you're helping the monks, the virtuous monks, to live a good life, so they can continue teaching the Dharma. At the same time, you remember the deceased. So it's a double blessing in that sense. Okay? Alright, so that's Sutta ends there. Any question on this? It's quite a short, direct Sutta.
Paragraph 10, the whole words.
Paragraph 10.
The whole words are spoken by the pretas, is it?
No, this one is the living relatives.
He gave to me, it was given.
Okay, let's say you think of someone that loved one has passed away.
Okay.
You think of this wonderful person, my current has provided for me, is kind to me. This is a kind of metta bhavana also. So you have 3 occasions of metta bhavana here, right? 3 occasions. Okay, the first occasion is, remember this, you say verse 4,
Yeah.
may our relatives be happy. Yeah?
Okay.
And then the second occasion is the pretas themselves. So may our relatives be happy. They return the favor, so to speak.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
That's verse 5. Right? And then verse 10. He gave to me, he worked for me. A relative, a friend, a companion to me. Right? So it's a kind of metta bhavana also. Right? It must be done with loving kindness, in other words.
The pretas, in your notes, only the pretas can benefit from the dedication of merit.
Right, only they need it.
And you say you dedicate peta, that is those reborn in one of the 4 subhuman suffering realms.
Yes,
Are they the asuras, animals,
helpings.
pretas, and
Pretas,
beings?
helpings, yeah, that's right.
So the departed, the realm of departed are these 4 realms.
Well, this is one of the, no, only the preta. Yeah, because the word preta means departed. Preta.
So, okay. Sorry, then what does it mean that only the departed, that is those reborn in the 4 subhuman realms? I'm just trying to understand where is the realm of the pretas.
The pretas are one of the 4 subhuman realms.
Right.
And when you hear the word departed, it only refers to the pretas. Preta or peta in Pali means the departed. So we say the departed refers only to the pretas. It's not a collective term for the 4 realms. It's not so. Each of them are kind of their separate realms, so to speak. Yeah? Whereas the pretas are spoken of as the departed.